Sew and Tell, where sewists from fashion, theater, and indie sewing bring their different perspectives to the hottest topics in the sewing community. I'm Kate Zaynard.
I'm Amanda Carestio.
And I'm Meg Healy.
Today on the podcast, we're talking about the ultimate summer sewing goal, sewing swimsuits. We'll discuss the pros and cons of sewing your own suit, then get some expert tips from Meg. We'll each share a little something in our SewJo segment, and we'll ask you to share something too. But first, let's check in. There are lots of changes happening around here.
Yes, there definitely are, which ties back to our little update last time where we kind of skipped our episode. What's going on is that we're having a bunch of changes and whatnot, including we look like we're moving offices.
That's right.
And that, of course, affects our recording studio. So until we know exactly what's going on, we decided to just go ahead, pound out some episodes, make sure that you're getting your podcasts. And so we're going to record some in advance, and hopefully we're not going to miss anything during this whole moving situation.
That's right. That's right. It's a busy time of year.
Oh, most definitely. There's a lot going on.
Have you guys had any time for sewing recently?
Oh, barely.
Barely. Kind of same here.
Yeah, we're packing up our sewing room, which means that our cutting table is just covered with stuff. And since I usually use the cutting table at the office to cut out my projects, I'm just like, I can't really start anything right now.
Same here.
Yeah.
How about you, Meg? You've been busy.
Well, speaking of cutting out, I cut out my wedding outfit last week, so that was very exciting. Yeah, I had my I did my muslin fitting, which actually went so well. There was only a few little nips and tucks here and there, so I was very surprised. So, yeah, I was just expecting, I was so nervous to put it on for the first time. I'm like, what if I hate it? And then it was just a hem, a little in here and there, so it's all cut out. I have it in a plastic bag with the pattern pieces. Because usually I just leave projects piled up, and I was like, this needs to be protected because we're expected a lot of rain, and our loft can get a little leaky. So
oh man,
very, very precautionary about that. So that's really exciting. It's all happening.
Oh, that is so exciting. Can you show us a picture of the muslin, or is it all just a big secret?
That's a little revealing. So
okay,
yeah,
understood.
Well, not in terms of my skin. It just it shows what it's going to look like, and I want to keep it a secret. But I'm documenting it all after the wedding. I'm going to do a huge series. I'm going to start from the beginning and work through. I'm going to show. Then I'll show kind of my fitting process of pinching it on yourself, the fabric, and transferring that to the paper pattern and everything in between. So
cool!
I can't wait to see it.
Stay tuned. Yeah, but I do want to, that big surprise on the day.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, let's jump in. Today, as we mentioned, we are talking all things swimsuits.
I just missed the opportunity. I was going to do, let's jump it, because you know what?
Splash. I was thinking the same thing.
I ruined it for you.
I know, I was sitting here trying to come up with a joke, and then you just kept talking. I'm like, sorry, I lost it.
Can we count that one on the sewing pun tally?
No, it's more like a podcast pun.
It's not.
I think that was a group effort.
Okay.
It was good.
We can give us all an extra tick mark
team point
on the tally.
Well, I will just start by saying sewing a swimsuit has been on my list for years, but I just have not done it yet. I think for myself and for a lot of sewists, it's kind of a milestone project in the way that sewing jeans and sewing a bra can be for people. And I haven't done it, but I can see so many reasons for sewing your own swimsuit. And I thought maybe we'd kind of jump in and talk about it a little bit and talk about some of the things that may be keeping us from doing it before we jump into Meg's segment about tips for actually doing it, which I hope will push me over the edge. But I'd just start by saying I think that I'm not under any false pretenses that sewing saves you money. because I just don't think that happens
Oh,
anymore
no.
In many instances. But I do think with things like bras and with things like swimsuits, this is an area where you could potentially save money because a good swimsuit is an expensive thing. So
that's true, and it doesn't actually require that much fabric.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't
at all.
It's not like
expensive.
Yes,
like they are really expensive,
especially a good
Insane.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump in. Starting out with, have you sewn a swimsuit? Do you want to sew a swimsuit?
I have not sewn a swimsuit, and I have never particularly felt the need to. I don't actually have that much need for a swimsuit. Like, I always think I want to go swimming in the summer, but I very rarely actually get around to doing it. And, I take the occasional beach vacation or whatever, and then I, constantly in swimsuits, but, that happens once every 3 years or something. And so it's not a huge part of my wardrobe, and I don't know. I have trouble with fitting. It seems awkward. I haven't, and I don't really feel the urge to. Can you guys change my mind?
I think we can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just constantly flood you with links to kitty spandex, like with cats all over them. Then
Oh my God, that's
I want a
dangerous.
cat-
Good plan of
cat
attack.
swimsuit.
But I'll just make it into leggings.
We'll see about that.
Bring it. Meg, you've sewn a lot of swimsuits, right?
Yeah. I actually, just this past weekend, I wore one of my me-made swimsuits, and that was great. Yeah, I rarely even buy them anymore. Basically, all my swimsuits are me-made. And I just, once you do it once, they're super easy, and they're quick too. I actually just printed one out. Right after we record this, I'm about to cut one out. So
Nice.
Is that the new one from the New Berta style?
yes, it is. Yeah,
Very cool.
It's cute.
I mean, it's been on my list. I think we spent a decent amount of time at the pool in the summer with our little kiddos.
Yes, you have children.
So, but I don't know. I've been kind of making do with like old maternity swimsuits and it hasn't really been a priority for me at all. It's just kind of, but I do feel inspired to, I think it's just kind of the adventure of it seems really appealing to me. I'm less concerned about kind of the end result. I kind of want to try it to see if I can do it. And I did earlier in the spring buy some swimsuit material on a whim, which I have not used yet. And there is definitely still time to make one this summer and get a lot of good use out of it. So
Definitely.
This might push me over to actually make it happen.
In the new issue, there's also a little girl's swimsuit pattern.
Oh, cute.
It's adorable. You could even ease into it by making your daughter one.
Nice. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
just to
kid stuff
get
don't
used to
need
the
as much
techniques.
fitting.
And it's so adorable. It has little ruffles.
Nice.
It's so cute. I can send you it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's maybe an idea just to kind of ease.
That's a good idea. That's a
be
good
easier to
idea.
fit.
Because I'm definitely a little bit intimidated. Let's talk a little bit about fit, because I think fit is another reason why people sew their own swimsuits. Because, if you are really different sizes on top versus on bottom, then it can be hard to find a swimsuit that fits in the store.
Yes, it can.
And I think, I think this year more than past years, I'm seeing a lot of one-piece suits, which makes me really happy. And they're one-piece suits that aren't necessarily like full coverage. They're still fun and cheeky and young. And I'm seeing the same thing in kind of the patterns that are coming out. There have been a lot more one pieces that are really appealing as well. But again, those would, if your body shape is really outside the standard, then that's going to require more adjusting. But do you guys have trouble with ready-to-wear swimsuits?
Oh, I most definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, generally nowadays I'll buy just separates straight up. I'll buy a set of bottoms and then a
Yes, because then you can mix and match sizes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I generally have to do because I have very wide hips and that's just I always about 2 sizes bigger on the bottom than I am on the top. And it can be really problematic when I'm trying to buy a tank suit because they assume if my hips are that big, then my bust is also quite big, and it is not particularly. And so I will put on a tank suit and it will just be like, wow, look at all that extra space up there that is just gaping all over the place, and I do not want to get in a pool like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds like you should probably make your own.
Oh, does it now?
Yeah, I don't want to go down a water slide in that one.
No. Oh, gosh.
Not at all.
Even if you have the most perfect fitting bathing suit, you go down a water slide and things are not where they should be. Oh, jeez. I was about to say something, and then
you got distracted by water slides.
I did. I just was thinking of just flooded back memories.
Yeah.
Good times.
How many water jokes can I get in this episode?
That's funny.
We were talking about ready to wear. So yes, it's easy for me if I were to, even when I just try them on, 2 pieces are better for me because I am short and petite, but my torso is actually quite long. So I find a store-bought 1 piece is always ill fit. Like my shoulders feel like they're really
it presses down on them.
So it's a 1 piece. It's really hard to buy and purchase for myself.
I have the same issue. I'm short, but I think my torso is either kind of in the standard range or a little bit long. So I have the same, and a lot of times it just feels like I'm constantly hiking the swimsuit up, like pulling it up, if it's a 1 piece.
And some of these bikini lines are just so high cut. It's hard to find everything, and that's why you need to make your own swimsuits. You get the torso length that you want, you get the bikini line that you like, and
you can ensure that you don't have to wear something that ties on the top, because that always makes me real nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I like things with nice solid buckles.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Did want to also talk about, I don't know, I think that people's feelings about swimsuits are incredibly tied in with their feelings about their body.
I think that's true.
And so I think, that's either why people make them or why people don't make them. But I definitely feel like when you make something, I don't know if you guys have this experience, but when I make something and I wear it, I feel like it's almost like a shield. Like I feel that much more confident in a me-made. It's I don't know what it is, but it's either that I don't care as much about what other people think of me, or I don't know. There's something magical that happens, and I can only imagine that the same is true with a swimsuit, and maybe even more to a higher level. Have you had that experience? Do you feel better in your me-made swimsuits?
I mean, I totally do, because the beaches here in Toronto can get quite populated, and you see a lot of the same swimsuits, right?
Right.
A lot of people are shopping at the same stores, and nobody has mine.
That's right.
That's like that's my confidence too, right there. And I think also the confidence in knowing it's made to my liking,
right?
As well,
right. And when you're more comfortable, you're more confident.
Totally. Yeah. Exactly.
And when the fit is better,
right?
Exactly.
And that comes in with the comfort. If it fits you comfortably, then you feel better about it.
Totally.
I could see that.
And but I totally relate to you. When I have something me made on, it just elevates kind of my confidence and everything, because I don't know if it's a little it's not really hiding behind. At least you can say that you've made what you're wearing.
Exactly.
If you're, like, feeling insecure about. I don't know if that's. I think that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like when you make jeans or you make a bra.
Oh yeah.
It's like you just kind of feel like you're unstoppable and you're a sewing superhero. And I have to imagine the same is true when you make a swimsuit.
I was I'm sorry. I was hanging out with some family a couple of weeks ago, and my 9-year-old cousin. For some reason, I mentioned how I sewed, and I told her I was sewed the purse that I was carrying as I picked it up, and she looks at it, she goes, how? And it was so funny. And I was like, well, I think I said with a sewing machine because I'm like that. But it's that sort of thing like, well, that wasn't that fancy a project. It was a pretty simple purse. But, how much more fulfilling would that how be if it was actually a swimsuit? I could see that. A lot of pride for that. A lot of, I'm unstoppable sewist, a superhero.
Yeah, it's maybe your pride in what you make kind of outshines how you're feeling about your body on that particular day.
Yeah. What's that saying? It's everybody has a beach, but you just put your body on the beach, and there you go.
Your body in a
I know
bikini.
It's way easier said than done. I totally get that. There's been a period like years of my life where I didn't go to a beach or wear a swimsuit. I've definitely had those years, but yeah, it's hard even if you buy a swimsuit and you're feeling really good in it, it is hard to kind of, you just gotta let go. And
yeah. Agreed. Well, let's talk through some of the intimidating factors about swimsuit sewing. For me, it's definitely supplies. Like, I think I just know less about the fabrics. I know less about the foam inserts that you need. It seems like you need 42 sizes of elastic. So I think for me, it's not so much the technique, although the fitting is definitely a factor for me. But the supplies are kind of a starting place.
Yeah, I agree. And, like the basic seams, sure, whatever, basic seams. But then you start thinking about elasticizing the leg holes and getting the straps put together. And all of that sounds really like, eek, scary to me, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's probably, there's probably ways around that. Start basic, start with a simple suit. I love your idea, Meg, of starting with like a kid's swimsuit just to kind of get the techniques down. So I should probably just jump in. We should probably just jump in, Kate. What's stopping us?
I don't have any time.
Yeah.
And I'm a coward. Yes, that's what's stopping me.
Well, they don't take very long. Yeah. I once made 3 bathing suits in an afternoon.
What?
But that's because that's something that you do a lot.
That's
your first
true.
swimsuit is not going to go that fast.
No, I'm just saying once you, if you can do 3 in an after, like you could do 1 in like a day. It's not going to be a huge thing. I don't know.
How forgiving would you say sewing swimsuits is?
In terms of?
Just like being perfect, being not perfect. They're probably more forgiving than people think they are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think so. And it just comes down to also what machines that you have and everything like that, what stitches you're using. Because I use a cover stitch too, so they're pretty good at just looking like a nice stitch instead of using a zigzag that can, get wider and narrower the more thick or thin. So it comes down to that too. But I think like no one's, especially I would say if you're making your first swimsuit, use a bold print because that's also very forgiving. You can't see really any stitching or anything like that if you use kind of a vibrant print. And even like ruching and gathering, which I love adding to swimsuits. It's very flattering and it hides a lot of because it kind of covers like seams and edges and so that's another.
Cool. And I suppose if anybody's looking that closely at your swimsuit seams, you probably better be, calling the police.
Yeah, exactly. And just no one really know if. Yeah, I think we mentioned this before. No one's doesn't know sewing is going to really look at even I would look at something and I wouldn't think
you're not going to pick it apart.
If it's my own, I would be like, oh my gosh, this is like a disaster, this misstitched or the skip stitch or something, but no one else is going to notice.
Well, let's stop there because I am ready for some swimsuit sewing tips and maybe I'm going to do this, you guys.
So you've made the decision to sew your own swimsuit. Yay! But now you need to actually sew it. It is very similar to sewing activewear and utilizes the same spandex sewing techniques we discussed in our last episode. But there are some additional things that you'll need to consider, especially elastic, because nobody likes a droopy bottom suit.
Isn't that right?
Yes.
Isn't that right? So, question. If you were to, let's say you're trying on swimsuits in the store and you just think of a swimsuit. It's your dream swimsuit. You just said, I wish I just had this swimsuit in this color with this style. Like, what would your just dream swimsuit be?
I don't think I have a dream swimsuit.
No, am I the only one?
No, mine would probably be black.
Yeah,
because that's how I roll. I have seen like a few really cute gingham print swimsuits this season that I was kind of tempted by, but the whole like, how do you approach plaid matching? Like matching those up? Do you skip it? So I didn't go down.
You could just sew the one half of it in the print.
It's true.
You do a solid back or
yeah. Or maybe you just let it go and it's really cute either way. But yeah, I'm definitely liking the one piece look right now. But I will say that I have seen, I think this year more than in prior years, there are one pieces that have a little something special going on. So it doesn't feel like you're wearing a maternity swimsuit, which I have for many years. And so I think that there are some more ready-to-wear and some pattern design options than there have been in the past. So I'm going with one piece, black, with a little something special going on. How about you, Kate?
I'm glad you went first because it gave me some time to think about this.
Okay, good.
So I tend to lean towards tankinis, to be perfectly honest, especially because of the whole mismatching my top and bottom. That's the easiest way for me to find something that fits well and that I feel comfortable in. I usually go for pretty basic bottoms. On the top, I think my ideal is a halter style with a V-neck. Yeah. And some fun print in a bright color. I tend to go for the bright tropical, or it kind of depends, depends on what I'm looking at and what most appeals to me, but probably a bright print and then the bottoms coordinating in some fashion.
Oh, so like both in the same fabric, or you pick like a color of the print? And
probably that. Probably solid
like that?
bottoms. I mean, to be perfectly honest, what I actually do is I have like 3 pairs of black bottoms that I wear with all of my tankini tops.
Right.
Yeah, just switch and mix and match.
You just mix and match. Well, I just have so many. I think I've made a lot of my dream bathing suits too. I just don't have one. I have many because there's different bathing suits for different occasions. There's the beach bathing suit, then there's like the pool party one, and then there's the just biking around town one. But yeah, I love swimsuits.
Mine is beach versus snorkel.
Oh, interesting.
I wear my tank suit when I'm snorkeling because I'm always worried about my belly scraping on things. Even though I'm like in enough water that it doesn't happen, I just get paranoid. So I like to get fully covered.
Oh, I don't think I could ever snorkel.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, I have also a fear. Both Julian and I share a huge fear of sharks in the ocean. So we both we'll never put our toe in the ocean in our entire life. We're fine with pools and lakes. Thankfully, Toronto has lakes. Okay. So we have very giant shark fears. I didn't think I was going to talk about this, but here we are. I'm very scared of sharks. But I'm not scared of
sewing swimsuits.
So let's just jump into some fabric selections. So as I was talking about last week too, spandex and sewing kind of athletic wear, it's a similar spandex that you use, kind of that 20% spandex with 80% nylon. But I find that sometimes those can be a bit... if you go with the lighter color, you'll definitely have to line them. But one of my favorite fabrics to sew swimsuits is actually Spoonflower's Sport Lycra. I find that it's not sheer when you really stretch it. I find it has a nice thickness to it, and it's suited for, extensive use in water, getting wet, and then wicking and drying. So I have a swimsuit that I made. I actually have a tutorial I'll link to up on Spoonflower's blog. They sent me some fabric, and I start to finish sew our Allison kind of retro Berta swimsuit pattern. So I'll definitely link to that. I have lots of tips in there, but I find that that's one of my favorite fabrics to use for swimsuits. Yeah, because I find you do only need kind of that one layer. I also use like gussets and stuff like that, but yeah. And then the next one is Mood's neoprene. They have some really cool neoprene-ish fabric if you're kind of making a more scuba suit or something fun like that. And they have cool prints. So. Cool. So those are kind of my two faves.
That's good to know, because I feel like, I've been into stores and looked at fabric and thought, is this going to work for a swimsuit? Is it going to stretch it? Is it going to be sheer? I feel like
you don't want to use those like really thin kind of jerseys that they're kind of the print mutes when you stretch it, and they're really stretchy, because you want something kind of a compression garment that kind of doesn't get too sheer when you stretch it. So
cool.
Yeah. And then also my number one tip is to actually just find a pair of underwear in your... We all have that one pair of underwear, and we just think, oh, I wish this was a swimsuit bottom. I actually bought a second pair, and I took it apart, and I used that as the bum and bikini shape. I just put it right on my pattern, and I ignore the shape that's on the pattern, and I just create my own shape to that panty line. So if you have a pair of underwear that you like, even you can mix and match. If you have one that you like the bum shape of or the front shape, you can blend them together. So that's like a huge tip that I have. Or you could just even take apart your undies and then just lay the fabric right on your swimsuit fabric and just cut it. Yeah. And
cool.
So that's a tip that I use all the time. And talking about the torso measurement, we were talking earlier about, Amanda and I feel all crunched and always are hiking things up. So to get that kind of fit, it's similar to the jumpsuit. So I'm kind of referring back to a couple of episodes. So if you go back and listen to the jumpsuit episode and the spandex episode, so you take your torso measurement, as I showed in the torso, so the jumpsuit post, but you do that pattern reduction to that measurement and implement that in your pattern.
So you do that same, it was a 10%?
Yes. For that kind of 80-20% spandex for your fabric, do that because you don't want the swimsuit, if it's a one piece, you want it still that little bit smaller.
Exactly,
so it actually,
negative ease.
It doesn't drip down, but you don't want it too tight. So I always take my torso measurement, do the pattern reduction, and then implement that on my one piece pattern. Yeah,
very interesting.
Something I do. Yeah, and I will of course write these all down in the show notes as well. And I don't want to just feel like I'm just reading off this list of tips. But
bring them. This is so helpful.
Okay.
This is really interesting. I don't have much to say about it, but I'm really enjoying.
I'm taking notes.
Yes, definitely.
I know. I do see Amanda taking notes. Here. And I'll be, if you girls are doing your swimsuit, I'll be on call. Great. If you have any questions,
I will call you.
We talked about elastic.
Right.
So, and you were talking about different widths, but I actually only have one width of elastic that I use for swimsuits. And I find it's the 3/8 of an inch is the perfect width for edges and bikini lines. I find that a 1/4 inch is too small because usually your typical serging stitch is about a 1/4 inch and things can get all ravelly. But the 3/8 just leaves that perfect edge outside your serging, and it's just that little bit thicker ones, so I just stock up on 3/8 of an inch elastic for edges and stuff. But I use a 1-inch wide elastic if I have, a high waist bikini bottom or, kind of a sport for the edge and stuff
For the waistline?
that. So yeah, for the waistline or under the bust if I'm doing more of a sport look. So, but 3/8 of an inch, perfect. And when you are, and I have this in my Spoonflower Allison tutorial as well, when you have your back bikini line, if you have that little outward curve bum shape, I always notch kind of at the start and the bottom of them, and then you slightly pull the elastic as you're surging over that notch slightly more for a cupping action at the back of your bathing suit. So you don't stretch. I rarely stretch it a lot because I don't like it too elastic. Because I don't know, I just don't want it to look like a sausage casing right on my thigh. I like it kind of a smoother, but right at the butt, I like
a little bit,
slightly stretch that just a little bit. And obviously, like, practice on your fabric and your elastic. Do some testing. And I know there are some elasticator foots out there, but I find that I like to just control it with my hand because I do different stretches for different
areas
points of the elastication.
Cool.
But another way that I love to finish the edges, especially around the neckline, or if I have style lines, if I have a cutout, I like to do sometimes contrast binding. So when I'm done cutting my swimsuit, I cut 1 inch and 1/8 of an inch. I find that this is like the perfect width. The 1 inch, it kind of doesn't. I like a little bit of extra when I'm flipping it over. But you actually serge or zigzag stitch or stretch stitch, however you do, the binding to the edge while stretching just the binding. And that kind of elasticates the edge while finishing it really nicely. And so you flip the binding over your serge seam and then twin needle or zigzag stitch in that section. And I find that that's a really nice finish.
So it's almost like like you're making a t-shirt.
Exactly.
So you're playing like a neckband,
like a basic neckband. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I like that.
So you can and I'll link to blog posts that I have, and I do this on athletic tanks too, and different items as well. So that's
not scary.
Another way.
I do that all the time.
No, it's really exactly. But the thing is, you just have to stretch the binding a lot more than you would, because you do want kind of when the garment lays flat. Bathing suits should look kind of ugly when they're not on the body. They shouldn't lay flat. They should be like, I'm kind of doing this action.
They should be all twisted up and
perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah. Because when they're on your body, you don't want any gaping. It needs to be smaller and just stretch over things. So that's just another little tip that I have. So I'll link to all my tutorials that I do, and follow along in these next couple weeks with my mashup. I'll be going, step by step how I'm sewing this one piece from the July issue.
Nice.
Cool. And it's going to be kind of my bridal swimsuit because for my,
for your honeymoon.
Yeah. I don't really need a bathing suit for my honeymoon, but my bachelorette party, I might need one. So, because I have neon green and I have white lace. So I'm going to back the white lace with lime green. So it's going to be both white lace, but like a peekaboo of lime green. Oh my God.
That sounds so pretty.
Fun?
Yes.
I know. So it's
I love it.
Bridal bathing suit. So let's talk a little bit about patterns. And obviously Berta has a couple, but it's funny, Berta just started in the past year releasing swimsuit patterns that are meant for spandex. In the past, they've always referenced using cotton for swimsuits for the retro ones.
Weird.
Yeah. So recently they've started releasing them for spandex fabric, and they have, those pattern reductions built into them.
Right.
So their bikini from last year, which I actually sewed the bottoms on an episode of It's So Easy on PBS. So I have a tutorial on that as well. But
tell me about the Berta 30-minute swimsuit.
Oh, yes, I do have that on. So this is actually the swimsuit that I made 3 of them in the afternoon because I made them for myself and my 2 cousins when I went to Portugal for my cousin's birthday. I kind of made us all swimsuits, and it is the perfect bathing suit. It's basically, it's like a high-waisted bottom, and it has just 2 long gathered bands, and then you can tie it a million different ways. It's like those bridesmaid dresses that tie different ways. So I just brought that one swimsuit and I just wore it different ways, and it's really easy to make because it's just making kind of bottoms and then you have just long bands for the straps, and it really my cousins and I all have different body types, and it really worked well for larger busts or smaller busts. It really formed how you tie it, and it's my one cousin, she is quite busty, and she was actually surprised at the support that it had just by tying it certain ways. You can cup under and all this stuff. So that is a really great swimsuit as well. Yeah, and then there's obviously Closet Case Patterns has 2 fabulous swimsuit patterns. The Sophie, which I love. That's probably more of an advanced one. I wouldn't recommend that one.
Yeah, that's got a bunch of different panels in it, right?
Yeah, and underwires and all that fun stuff. I mean, it's a great swimsuit style, and she has some really great tutorials on that as well. But she also has the Bombshell, and it's kind of a fun fact is Heather actually posted the progress of working on this pattern on Berta Style back in 2012.
Oh, wow.
So even before she started Closet Case Patterns, she kind of works through, and it was really a hot pattern on bertastyle.com in the community back in 2012. So I found that link.
That's
and
cool.
I'll link to it as well. It's really cute. And then the Megan Nielsen Caudal Slow. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, I was Googling how to pronounce. I didn't want to mispronounce it, but I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. And that's a really good basic pattern for beginner.
And that one has there's a bikini that's pretty straightforward, but there's also the one piece that has the tie in the back. Super cute. That's on my list. I made a
2-piece. Yeah, I made the 2-piece of that. I still need to post it. I made it in this cute maroon fabric. It's really cute. And then lastly, another swimsuit pattern that I really, really like is Mimi G's Riri suit. Have you guys seen that one? Yeah, it's really cute. It's high-waisted, but it kind of has bands it's a halter. It has some ties to it, and I think it's a really, really cute, adaptable pattern as well. So make sure to check that one out.
Cool. Awesome.
I have 2 on my list. I think they're relatively new. They're both by Friday Pattern Company. They have the Sea Bright Swimmer, which is, I think, kind of similar to what you mentioned. It's kind of like a bottom, and then there's ties that come up. But it's that basic shape. But this one also has a version with sleeves, so it would be good, like kind of a rash guard. Also good sun coverage. So it's got a couple options in there. And they also have a 2-piece that I've been eyeing. I think it's the Vernazza 2-piece, or Vernazza. And the bottom, I think there are a couple of different shapes for the bottom, but the top has a little tie on the front, and it looks super cute. So those are the ones that I've been eyeing.
I don't have any patterns I've been eyeing, but I'll look at all of these and tell you if any of them work for me.
Well, thank you so much, Meg. That was really helpful.
Oh, yeah, that was super informative.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. I could just go on. I'm like literally so excited to sew mine later.
Yay. Well, we can't wait to see it.
I'm just like, yay.
All right, let's jump into our SewJo segment. For anybody who doesn't know, so the SewJo segment is what's giving us our inspiration and making us feel good about sewing right now. So, Amanda, what's your SewJo right now?
Well, swimsuits.
Well,
and it's really, really funny. I sketched out a few things that I want to sew for the rest of summer. I'm going to, again, try to cut myself off this year. It's always so hard. It's probably not going to work. But and then literally 2 minutes later, I changed my mind because I threaded my serger with blue and decided that I'm going to sew a batch of blue things and some fabrics that have been in my stash for a while.
It's Amanda's blue period.
I'm going through the blue period, you guys. And but it's kind of inspiring because I don't need a lot of summer clothes. I have quite a few. So I've kind of been like, well, what should I sew next? But blue is the perfect jumping off point for me. So I'm going with it.
Nice. Blue. How about you, Meg?
Well, I'm just, in wedding mode, and I keep adding things to what I'm going to make. Now, I know my second look. Now, my bachelorette weekend, I'm thinking about making a little white lace romper. So but I feel like I'm just coming along so well. And when I really put my mind on something, and I'm quite efficient, so I think I can get it done. So
it's kind of nice. You're creating like a little wedding capsule.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Meg's wedding
I know.
capsule.
I was
just make sure you prioritize that one outfit first.
Oh, I know. Could you imagine? It's like the week before, I'm like, oh, damn, now I have all these other looks.
Yes, I spent too much time on my bachelorette look, and now I haven't finished my actual wedding outfit.
My bridal suit is done. My bridal swimsuit is done.
I know. Maybe I'll just wear that.
The bridal
I'll just throw on a tulle skirt.
What about you, Kate?
Oh, well, I am, as I said, I haven't had a whole lot of time to sew lately. So, I've been trying to think about little things that I can maybe do, and we're planning to go to our local Renaissance Festival in another couple of weeks. So I am thinking about taking some of my large amounts of cork and making a version of the leather headbands that that I often see there. Just a really kind of basic, straight across the forehead sort of thing, but out of cork. And it's probably less sewing as it is crafting, but there may be some applique involved. I'm not sure. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right at the moment.
Do they tie in the back with ribbon, or how do they stay on your head?
I think either tie or I might put snaps on it, but let's be honest, I've got probably easier to find eyelets in my disaster of a sewing room than trying to find snaps that'll go through cork.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so I'm thinking about that. There might be some shaping to it. We'll see. Still messing around with the idea. We're making a tabard for my godson, so that'll be good too.
Fun.
What's that?
It's like a faux medieval look. It's basically just a piece of fabric that goes straight down the front, straight down in the back, with a hole for your head.
Oh, like suspenders, kind of. A hooded suspenders?
No.
It's like a apron.
I'll just stop.
Yeah, it's like an apron poncho sort of thing. It's like a poncho without parts over your shoulders.
Okay. Cool. I like to learn.
Yes, I'll see if I can find a picture of a tabard.
Yeah.
And put it on the
Thank you.
show notes so we can all see, in case other people don't know. All right, so let's move on to our Sew and Tell segment. In our last full episode, we asked you what's your favorite fabric to sew with after we talked about some of our favorites, and we got some great answers. Amanda?
Yep, I'll go first. This is from Faith in a Seed on Instagram, who said, linen and linen blends. I especially like pressing these fabrics, crisp edges, and lovely drape. That's a kindred spirit right there. I'm definitely team linen.
Yeah, I knew you were.
Yes.
We also heard from Love Stephanie on Instagram. She said, silk charmeuse is my favorite. It's a total pain in the butt to deal with as it's so slick and slippery, but with time, care, and if it's handled and sewn just so, the results are dreamy. And I totally agree with that. It is such a beautiful fabric, and yes, it is not the easiest thing to sew with, but sometimes it's worth putting in that effort for the result that you get.
Totally.
Silk charmeuse.
And so... Yeah. So our last comment on Instagram is from Padolus, and they said, I was scared at first, but I love it after. It's faux fur, but you need to sew with a vacuum on hand at all times, which is so true. And also reminds me, I just asked Shannon Fabrics to send me some white fur to make a shrug at the end of the night.
Oh my gosh.
I can't, girls. I can't stop. I can't stop.
Meg, I think you have a problem.
Don't stop.
I'm turning into that bride that I was like, I don't need to wear a white outfit to every event. And now I'm like,
white to everything.
all the white
I am the bride.
I am the bride. Oh, that's what happens when you're a bride who can sew. The possibilities are
They're just endless.
You just can't turn off the creative juices kind of flowing. Oh.
All right. So we just want to let you know that we'll be doing things a little different on our Sew and Tell segment until we get settled down and the move's over. So we're going to try something new. And, if it goes great, maybe we'll keep doing it indefinitely, but for now it's a temporary plan. So what we're going to do is we'll ask you the Sew and Tell question today, and you answer as normal. And then instead of reading it on the show, we're actually going to do an Instagram Live on next Thursday, the off week from when we release our episodes. So in this case, it will be August 1st. So we'll do an Instagram Live and read your answers there instead of reading them on the podcast. So our question for you is, have you or do you plan to sew your own swimsuit? So tell us what you think about this and, see if you can join these two in bullying me into giving it a try or just tell us what you think. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And pattern recommendations.
Pattern recommendations for sure.
Totally.
I have to say, I have a gift card to Spoonflower that I haven't figured out what to do with yet. And I have have to say, I'm feeling a bit tempted. Just a bit.
And you can get a cat print.
And I could get a cat print. It's true. So we'll see where that goes.
You could even take a picture of your cats and upload it and get that printed on the spandex.
If only I could get all three of them to be in the same area at the same time.
Oh, gosh. That's harder than sewing this.
Oh, that would be harder than sewing. Yeah, they don't necessarily all get along ever. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for this really interesting conversation. It does make swimsuits sound a little bit less terrifying to me.
It does. Agreed. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. Happy stitching, everybody.
Happy stitching.
Yeah, bye.
For links to everything we talked about in this episode, go to our show notes page at sewdaily.com/sewandtell. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at sewandtellpodcast@fwmedia.com or visit us on Instagram @sewandtellpod. Answer the Sew and Tell question, tell us your SewJo, or just leave us some feedback. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe on your podcasting platform of choice. And please leave us a review, ideally a good one, because that helps listeners like you find our podcast. And tell your sewing friends about us too. Thanks for listening, and happy stitching. Sew and Tell is produced by Meg Healy, Amanda Carestio, and me, Kate Zaynard. Our consulting producer is Ron Doyle, and our executive producer is Jared Mayer.